Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. There is, I was going to say the beginning of a pushback against wind, but actually the pushback has been there for some time. But it is now becoming quite vociferous. Now the Greens keep pushing this wonderful idea of having these huge, great big bird choppers peppering the horizon and saying it's a good thing, it will save the planet, and it'll do no such thing, of course. For one, the actual energy involved in making them is as much as they produce in their entire operational lifetime, and so net zero really at best. But also take into consideration the likes of 16 million trees chopped down to create the spaces for them. All that loss of animal life, of habitat, of biodiversity and of ecology. It's pretty damning evidence. It's dangerous, it's awful, and the amount of destruction involved just so some Greens can have a circle jerk and feel good about themselves is hardly worth the cost. And of course the people living there now, instead of having beautiful open views, just see these great big monstrosities dotted everywhere, doing nothing, especially when the wind isn't blowing. What's the point? Well, we'll take a look at this because people are rejecting it now, and Green MSPs are getting told that basically they need to stop. Let's have a look and see how the rejection works. Here goes. Scottish Green MSP told we don't want more wind farms as he clashes with campaigners after project refusal, which is good news. Absolutely brilliant news. These things are damaging. These things cause so much problems. And yet when you look at the actual amount of energy involved, and we're going from first principles of digging the ore out of the ground, processing it, transporting it, the whole gamut of digging out holes in the ground to build these things, the energy involved is more than they will produce in their operational lifetime. It's pointless. It's a net loss, isn't it? Anyway, Elaine Jackson from Scotland Against Spin welcomed the refusal of the Foreside proposal, but said other communities were mobilising to protect their local area after Mark Ruskell said most people supported onshore wind. I'd like to see where he says those figures. I'd like to see the backup for that, because I don't think he can do that. Unless he can come up with a citation, I don't think that is correct. A Scottish Green NSP has been told Scottish communities don't want more wind farms by a campaigner who said there is no more space for large developments in the country. Elaine Jackson of Scotland Against Spin said her group had been inundated with requests to help fight proposals for the facilities. But the Scottish Greens Environment spokesperson, Mark Ruskell, said she had misrepresented public opinion. I don't think she has. And that the impact of wind farms when the pair appeared on BBC Radio Scotland's Good Morning Scotland show on Friday. They were invited to speak after the Scottish Government rejected plans for huge 45 turbine farm that would have been located in both Dumfries and Galloway and the Borders. The Foreside project had been proposed by the community Wind Power, which said it could power over 300,000 homes. Could, but won't. The plan was opposed by both Dumfries and Galloway and Scottish Borders councils. Government ministers rejected it after a public inquiry amid concerns it would be dominating and overbearing for some nearby properties. Yes, and the thing is, you either build it near properties, in which case it's a problem, or you build it out in the wilds, which makes the wilds awful and nobody wants to visit them. Why would you go up to see rural, natural, beautiful Scotland filled with these great big white giants chopping birds, vibrating the ground, causing untold damage to the earth? The clearances they have to do to create the land for them, 16 million trees, uprooting fences, uprooting hedgerows, all the animals displaced, animals killed, and all for this. And it doesn't do what they say. The figures they're basing it on are lies. Anyway, government ministers rejected it. And there were also fears it could impact the nearby Eskdalemuir seismic array used to detect vibrations caused by nuclear tests. See, this is the problem that they have. They want to build them because they want to have a little circle jerk of virtuousness, but in actual fact, they are very, very damaging. Miss Jackson told Good Morning Scotland that while she welcomed the decision, local authorities should have the final say on wind farms rather than central government. She said places suitable for wind farms were decreasing at an alarming rate due to the number of wind farm applications that have been presented to us. All the time, because it's all money, money, money. And the thing is, these are all owned by foreign countries, foreign companies. It's not money that's going into the Scottish economy. Yes, there's a little bit of licensing, but not much. And then they generate the electricity and then they sell it to Scotland and they're making a profit. If it's going to be done at all, it should be, national owned, and that way it is the people who benefit. After all, it is the people's land that is being used for it. Mr. Ruskell argued that the planning system was robust and places of outstanding beauty were protected. He said we need to grow wind farms and renewable energy as it was cheap and tackles climate change. Does it though? Does it? Have you got a citation for this? Again, no. He said, but Miss Jackson responded saying communities who benefited from wind farms were a long way away from the site. She added, they don't hear any noise, they don't get any flicker, they don't see aviation lights blinking all through the night. But they're still close enough to be included in the community benefit scheme. But the people who are actually living closest to the wind farms, in their shadows, obviously don't want them, because residential amenities have gone with the wind. Quite literally, she says. They're subjected to noise, shadow flicker, devaluation of property. Some people cannot sell their properties because of wind farms. Mr. Ruskell said it was a bit of a misrepresentation, arguing that homes close to wind farms also benefited from the community benefit funds. He added, we are seeing public opinion strongly in favour of onshore wind. Really? Prove it. Prove that. Don't stand there and say, oh yes, it's a great idea and people approve it. Show us the proof. He said there will be some controversial developments locally, but we are seeing, he says, a generational shift. That's because you keep lying to people and gaslighting them and you're not presenting them with the full facts. Give people the full facts and then let them decide. That's the last thing you want, because if people know the truth, well, they'll change their mind as quick as you like, won't they? Miss Jackson said, hit back again, saying that we have been inundated in the last 2 years with new groups setting up to fight wind farms in their area. They're not going to back down. They're fundraising to get professional help to make sure that these things don't happen. So I think that, or she said, I think there's going to be much more resistance than Mark actually thinks there is. I think there will be. And of course, as more resistance occurs and as more people are aware that you can fight this, more people will. More people will start rejecting it. Especially when they look out and all they see are these great big white monstrosities everywhere. Idle half the time. And when they are working, bird chopping. And the destruction of the land. And the destruction of the landscape. When you go out and instead of just seeing, big open swathes of fields and a sky, you just got these things in the way. And the noise and the vibration. It's just awful. If you truly want clean energy, dig a hole, into that hole, build a nuclear power station and cover it up. Jobs are good. But hey, these people don't want nukes for some reason. They think nukes are dangerous. Yes, they probably were 50 years ago when they were not being built for energy generation, but being built for weapon production. But modern nukes now that are just purely energy generation are little more than steam kettles. And they are incredibly safe. Anyway, I shall round off there. She'll come up and we'll finish the video. But it is nice to see that that the people are starting to wise up and see the problems that these Greens with their mad ideas are causing. Anyway, coming up. Ultimately, people power will eventually win. Because one way or another, you can just simply vote out councils that you don't agree with. And en masse, people are starting to reject the extreme sort of push for what they call net zero, especially by the Greens, but also really by Labour and a bit of the Tories and all that. They're all at it. But net zero, we know, is a lie. You literally cannot have net zero. If you killed everyone in Scotland tomorrow, you'd still produce, because all the rotting bodies would still produce it. You cannot have net zero. It is a lie. Anyway, we shall round off there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and always look at the facts before you make up your mind. And I will speak to you later. Bye.